Majin Vegeta just turned the Hidden Cloud's elite into his personal toys. Drop a tip in the PayPal link below. Let's see who's next on his hit list.
Previously, a cosmic anomaly violently tore through the skies of the Hidden Cloud, dropping an extinction-level threat right into their backyard. Without throwing a single punch, Majin Vegeta crushed the village's absolute elite, drowning them in a sea of pure, unfiltered bloodlust. But amidst the chaos, one ninja refused to break. Samui's absolute psychological zero countered the monster's raging fire. Intrigued by her flawless stoicism and utterly disgusted by her cowardly superiors, the prince found himself a brand new toy. She passed his twisted blood test without a single spike in her heart rate, officially severing her ties with the Hidden Cloud. Now, the deadliest duo in the universe has only one goal: hunt down those who manipulate space, and rip a hole straight back home. But destroying an entire military outpost doesn't go unnoticed. The storm is just beginning. Dawn breaks over the limestone forest. The air is freezing, but the tension is hot enough to melt steel. The prince and his new vanguard walk through the territory as if they own it. To Vegeta, this is just a morning stroll. But the Raikage does not tolerate trespassers, especially those who slaughter his men. The fourth Raikage arrives, clad in his ultimate lightning armor. He is a furious force of nature, known as the fastest man alive. And right behind him is Darui, the Raikage's right-hand man, ready to execute anyone who threatens the Hidden Cloud. But the Raikage's fury hits a breaking point when he sees who is standing calmly beside the enemy.
Samui, have you lost your damn mind? Step away from that monster and accept your execution!
The Kage's wrath is terrifying enough to make most ninjas faint. Samui simply stares back, entirely unbothered by her former boss's yelling. The Prince of all Saiyans isn't intimidated. He's just incredibly, painfully bored by the dramatic speech. He has zero time for politics. He turns his head slightly, issuing his first official order for the day.
Take out the guy with the big knife. The loud, glowing idiot is mine.
Being called a loud idiot by an intruder pushes the Raikage completely over the edge. His pride is shattered. With a thunderous roar that shatters the stone beneath him, the fastest man in the shinobi world launches his ultimate strike. He puts every single ounce of his Kage-level chakra into one devastating, unstoppable punch. Against any normal opponent, this speed is a guaranteed kill. But Majin Vegeta just stands there, watching him fall. Impact. A strike heavy enough to pulverize a mountain connects directly with its target. The Raikage believes he has crushed the arrogant invader. But in the world of gods, human speed is nothing but a tragic illusion. As the smoke clears, a horrifying truth is revealed. The monster didn't even blink. The dust begins to settle. The Raikage firmly believes he just obliterated the alien threat with his ultimate speed. But as the smoke clears, the reality of the situation hits him like a ton of bricks. The crater is completely empty. He didn't just miss. He struck a lingering afterimage left behind by a being moving on a completely different dimensional scale. The Prince of all Saiyans didn't even dodge. He just casually repositioned himself while literally yawning. Playtime is officially over. Vegeta decides to show this world what true, unfiltered speed actually looks like. The fastest man alive is completely blinded. His Kage-level tracking skills are utterly useless against a literal god. He appears right behind him. No sound. No wind. Just pure, suffocating killer intent pressing against his spine. He doesn't even bother charging an energy blast. A simple, basic martial arts chop is more than enough for this trash. Boom! The ultimate speed illusion is completely shattered with one casual, brutal strike to the neck. The unbreakable lightning armor shatters like cheap glass. It never stood a chance against Saiyan biology. The Kage's nervous system shuts down instantly. He is dead weight before he even hits the dirt. Darui watches his invincible boss get absolutely folded. Pure, paralyzing shock completely overrides his tactical training. Driven by raw emotion and blind loyalty, Darui makes the worst mistake of his life and charges the monster. But he doesn't even get close to the prince. Vegeta's brand new vanguard intercepts the strike flawlessly. A lethal standoff. The immovable object completely halts the emotional, reckless charge of her former comrade. Darui looks into her eyes, searching for a shred of the comrade he once knew. He finds absolutely nothing.
Your emotions make you sloppy, Darui. The Hidden Cloud is already dead. Stand down!
The psychological strike is flawless. Darui drops his weapon, completely broken by the sheer, terrifying reality of their new power dynamic. The prince of all Saiyans resumes his morning stroll. He doesn't even bother looking back at the trash he just folded. He steps right over the unconscious body of the Raikage like he's avoiding a puddle in the street. Pure disrespect. Samui sheathes her blade. The transaction is complete. She leaves her former comrade kneeling in the dirt without a single ounce of pity. Two gods of destruction walk away, leaving behind the shattered remains of a village's pride. The speed illusion is officially dead. With the Raikage crushed, the path is clear. The hunt for the Akatsuki has officially begun. High above the massacre, two of the Akatsuki's most notorious killers have been watching the entire spectacle unfold. Sent to investigate the massive energy spike, the immortal bounty hunter Kakuzu analyzes the data. And the math isn't adding up. He has lived for nearly a century. He knows every type of chakra. But the dense, heavy pressure radiating from that golden alien is something completely different. Even Haydn, the psychotic immortal who literally prays for bloodshed, is completely silenced by the sheer brutality of the execution. For the first time since gaining his immortality, Haydn's body takes an involuntary step back. His biology recognizes an apex predator. They watch the fastest Kage in history get swatted away like a bothersome fly. It wasn't a battle. It was pest control. Kakuzu is a bounty hunter driven purely by logic and money. And right now, his ledger is screaming at him to cut his losses.
That isn't chakra. The bounty on his head isn't worth getting erased from existence. We are leaving. Now.
For once, the immortal fanatic doesn't argue. He knows that whatever that golden light is, his god Jashin cannot protect him from it. The zombie duo decides to ghost. They slink back into the shadows, completely terrified of the monster roaming the valley. They are inches away from a clean escape. But then, a massive, obnoxious shadow falls over the battlefield. Swooping in completely blind to the horror that just occurred, the Akatsuki's artistic duo arrives on the scene. Haydn grabs his head in utter disbelief. He knows exactly what is about to happen to the blonde bomber. Kakuzu facepalms. Deidara and Sasori didn't see the Raikage get folded. They are walking completely blind into the jaws of a god. Oblivious to the absolute power disparity, the artists of the Akatsuki dive straight into the abyss, eager to show off their explosions. The zombie duo dips. They refuse to watch their teammates get turned into cosmic dust. The trap is officially set. Crashing the party completely uninvited, a giant clay bird drops from the sky, totally blind to the absolute massacre that just happened. The prince stops dead in his tracks. Someone has the absolute audacity to block his sunlight. Arriving fashionably late, the Akatsuki's artistic duo perches high above, acting like they own the place. Deidara and Sasori look down with extreme cockiness. They completely missed the Raikage getting one shot. Deidara smirks. To him, the glowing golden guy is just another random bounty waiting to be turned into fireworks. Sasori is slightly more cautious, analyzing the bizarre energy signature, but still completely underestimating the threat level. Vegeta stares back. He isn't intimidated, he's just incredibly annoyed that two clowns in matching robes are wasting his time. Like a flawless machine, Samui steps up to her master, instantly processing the visual data of the new targets. She recognizes the red clouds immediately. S-rank criminals. Exactly the kind of high-value targets Vegeta was looking for. She feeds him the intel. The Akatsuki. Explosives expert on the left, lethal puppet master on the right. Both extremely dangerous. The prince actually chuckles. The idea that someone using clay toys thinks they are a threat is peak comedy to a Saiyan. He steps forward and crosses his arms, entirely dropping his guard. It is the ultimate flex of pure disrespect. Deidara hates being ignored. He demands total awe from his victims, but this guy is looking at him like he's a cheap street performer. The bomber gets triggered. He points straight at Vegeta's massive energy, calling it completely crude and utterly lacking in artistic value. He starts yapping about true art, totally blind to the fact that he's lecturing a guy who blows up planets for a living.
That glowing trash you call power is an insult to the eyes. Let me show you what true art actually looks like, yeah?
Vegeta's face drops into pure disgust. He has met some annoying villains in his time, but this guy is on a whole other level. Instead of firing a blast, the prince rolls his eyes. He is physically exhausted by how much this blonde clown is yapping.
Are you done yapping, you noisy bug? Your voice is literally making me sick!
The insult lands flawlessly. Deidara's massive ego completely shatters. Nobody disrespects his art and lives to tell the tale. Blinded by rage, he bypasses all his normal attacks. He's going straight for the nuke to wipe this disrespectful bug off the map. Sasori tries to warn him to chill out. Dropping a tactical nuke at this range is practically a suicide mission. But the bomber is way past logic. The mouths on his hands frantically chew the C3 clay, packing it with an insane amount of chakra. He yanks out his masterpiece. The C3. A bomb designed explicitly to vaporize entire villages from the face of the earth. With a psychotic laugh, he drops the nuke straight down on the prince's head. Mid-air, it expands into a colossal, terrifying monstrosity. A shadow of absolute death covers the entire valley. It's a literal meteor of explosive chakra. But the Saiyan and his vanguard don't even flinch. They just stand there, waiting. Deidara slams his hands together, screaming his signature command, absolutely convinced he just wiped them from existence. Katsu. The C3 detonates. A blinding, apocalyptic fireball of pure artistic destruction violently erases the entire valley in a split second. A masterpiece of annihilation. Any normal ninja would be instantly vaporized into atomic dust. But they aren't fighting a ninja.
Bro, you kidding me? Deidara just dropped C3 on Majin Vegeta? How fast does he get vapped? Comment right now.
The devastating mushroom cloud slowly begins to clear, leaving a massive crater of absolute destruction in its wake. Deidara laughs maniacally, entirely convinced his explosive masterpiece just erased the alien threat from existence. But a blinding golden light easily cuts right through the toxic, burning smoke, refusing to fade. Majin Vegeta hovers mid-air, arms crossed. He doesn't have a single scratch on his armor. Directly below him, Samui stands perfectly untouched, shielded entirely by his impenetrable ki barrier. The Akatsuki bomber's jaw hits the floor. His entire artistic worldview shatters into a million tiny pieces. Sasori's mechanical tail stops twitching. He instantly recognizes an impossible, uncalculated anomaly that threatens their lives. The Saiyan prince tilts his head. He isn't angry, he is just utterly, painfully disappointed by the weak attack. He shakes his head slowly, looking at the S-rank criminals like they are annoying, buzzing insects.
You call that pathetic sparkler art? Let me show you a real firework.
He casually raises a single index finger, pointing it directly at the massive clay bird high above. A microscopic orb of dense purple plasma condenses rapidly at the tip of his glove, bending the air itself. Deidara's eyes blow wide in sheer terror. His survival instincts violently scream at him to run for his life. The giant bird frantically banks hard, desperately trying to evade the tiny, terrifying target lock. Vegeta casually flicks his finger. A needle-thin beam of purple plasma shoots diagonally across the sky at light speed. The beam rips a silent vacuum through the atmosphere, a concentrated spear of absolute destruction. The blast cleanly pierces the structure. No fiery explosion. The bird and puppets are simply erased in absolute silence. The sheer kinetic force of the vaporization splits the remaining storm clouds wide open, revealing the clear blue sky. Stripped of their art and their arrogance, the two S-rank criminals plummet helplessly from the heavens like broken dolls. They slam brutally into the shattered limestone, their bodies completely broken by the fall and the overwhelming power gap. Deidara twitches in the dirt. His art, his pride, and his entire existence have been completely and utterly humiliated. Samui watches the smoking crater. Her cold logic simply registers the fact that she chose the right side of history. Vegeta lowers his smoking finger, looking absolutely bored by the pathetic display. He didn't even use a fraction of his power. The apex predator looks down at his handiwork. He leaves them barely breathing, laying the ultimate bait for the rest of the rats. The prince decides he's bored with the art show. He raises his hand, ready to permanently erase the broken Akatsuki members. But just before he fires, the very fabric of reality twists. Space itself begins to warp and suck inward like a black hole. Out of the distortion steps the masked man. He moves to pull his dying assets into his pocket dimension before they get vaporized. Vegeta's attack stops dead. His eyes widen. He isn't looking at the masked man, he is looking entirely at the hole in space.
Another Akatsuki. He's bending space-time. Highly evasive.
Space-time. The exact thing he needs to get back to Kakarot. The prince looks at the vortex like a starving wolf looking at raw meat. Zero hesitation. The Majin's bloodlust explodes. He launches himself at the masked man with the intent to rip the space jutsu right out of his skull. The masked man's Sharingan spins frantically. He realizes instantly that he cannot physically dodge this incoming monster. Vegeta lunges, his hand aimed straight for the mask, ready to crush it into dust and take the power for himself. But the crushing impact never comes. His hand phases completely through the mask, striking absolutely nothing but empty air. For 99% of ninjas, this jutsu is an unsolvable mystery. But Vegeta's Saiyan battle IQ breaks down the physics in a millisecond. He gets it. The mask isn't a ghost. He's just hiding parts of his body in another dimension to avoid taking a hit. The masked man tries to solidify and grab him. Big mistake. Vegeta times the materialization perfectly and swats his arm away. With terrifying precision, he pivots and drives a brutal elbow straight into the side of the mask. The ceramic shatters instantly. The untouchable ghost of the Akatsuki just got his face cracked open in 3 seconds. He is launched backward, tumbling violently across the dirt. He realizes he is completely outmatched in hand-to-hand combat. The prince raises his hand, ready to blow the guy's head off and just take the eyeball for himself. But in that exact millisecond, a brilliant, highly tactical idea flashes through the Majin's mind. He suddenly lowers his hand. He deliberately kills his own attack and stops moving, leaving himself completely wide open. The masked man doesn't question the miracle. He grabs his broken assets and violently sucks them all into his pocket dimension. Pop. They vanish completely. The high-value targets just escaped from the most dangerous being in the universe. Samui immediately draws her blade, ready to hunt. Her logical brain cannot process why he just let the targets get away. But a heavy, white-gloved hand clamps down on her shoulder, completely halting her momentum. The prince isn't angry. A wicked, deeply sinister smile spreads across his face. He didn't make a mistake. He laid a trap.
Sheathe your toy, girl. Slaying rats one by one is a waste of time. I just put a bell on the biggest one.
In a split second, Vegeta hits the brakes. He completely kills his own momentum and forcibly drops his energy, faking a moment of hesitation. He leaves himself completely wide open. It's an insane gamble, a masterclass bait from a guy with a 200 IQ combat brain. And the masked man takes the bait instantly. He doesn't question the miracle, he just acts on pure survival instinct. He grabs his broken assets and activates his visual jutsu, violently ripping a hole in space to suck them all into his pocket dimension. He locks eyes with Vegeta for a split second, absolutely convinced he just pulled off the greatest escape in history. Pop. They vanish. The high-value targets are gone, completely evaporating from the physical world. Samui immediately draws her blade. For the first time, her flawless logic stutters. Why did he just let them walk away? But a heavy, white-gloved hand clamps down on her shoulder, killing her momentum instantly. The prince smiles. A wicked, deeply sinister smirk. He didn't make a mistake. He laid the perfect trap.
Sheathe your toy, girl. Slaying rats one by one is a complete waste of time.
Samui obeys instantly, sheathing her blade. Her analytical mind waits for the explanation that justifies letting S-rank targets walk away. Vegeta taps his temple. In that split second, his Saiyan brain memorized the exact spatial frequency of the portal. He didn't just let them escape. He essentially put a massive, glowing tracking beacon on the biggest rat in the entire organization. The plan is flawless. Let the panicked survivor run home, leading the ultimate apex predator directly to their main headquarters. Samui processes the logic. It's a 200 IQ play. She realizes she isn't just following a brute, she is serving a tactical mastermind. His objective is absolute. Capture the masked man, force him to open the portal home, and then completely vaporize the entire Akatsuki. With their targets locked, the prince and his vanguard launch into the sky. The final hunt has officially begun. They tear a path straight toward the hidden rain village. The Akatsuki thinks they escaped, but they just invited a god right to their front door. The prince and his vanguard tear through the sky. The bait has been taken, and the ultimate hunt is officially on. They leave behind a trail of absolute devastation, entirely focused on the spatial signature of their escaping prey. The camera pans down from the roaring heavens, returning to the silent, shattered ruins of the limestone forest. The smoke clears over the crater. The gods have left, but the shadows are far from empty. Deep within a dark, untouched rock crevice, something cold and calculating begins to stir. A tiny white snake slithers silently into the dim light. The ultimate spy of the hidden sound. Its golden, slit eye reflects the fading streak of Saiyan energy in the sky, processing the impossible data. It flicks its tongue, tasting the dense, alien key left behind in the ozone. A terrifying discovery. Orochimaru has watched the entire massacre through these eyes. And the mad scientist is absolutely mesmerized. He doesn't see an apocalyptic threat. He sees the ultimate, flawless vessel, brimming with infinite, godlike DNA. The white snake slithers back into the pitch-black darkness, carrying the most dangerous intel in ninja history. A new, twisted plot begins to brew in the underworld. The Akatsuki aren't the only ones in grave danger. As the dust settles, the ninja world holds its breath, completely unaware of the absolute apocalypse heading its way.
Bro, my mind is literally blown. Vegeta playing 4D chess with the Akatsuki? That's insane. How is Pain gonna survive this monster knocking on his door? Drop a sub and comment below.